What's happening, Alex? Thank you so much for joining us on the Mix Next. We definitely love to see what tinyBuild is always cooking and appreciate the support that you have for this particular stream and also the other events that we've had in the past that you guys have worked with us on. So I got one quick first question, which is why the name tinyBuild? You guys are busting out huge builds right now, so it may be irrelevant, but why the name?
Well, it's actually been a running joke that, when we have like a 50 by 50 boosted packs that's like, 50 feet high or something, that the name tinyBuild doesn't really resonate. But I think when we started the company, we were like, okay, we have this first game called No Time to Explain, right? And we're like, oh, we actually need a studio name. So me and Tom just sat there and just came up with the name tinyBuild at the spot. We're like, okay, we're a small team, we're building stuff, right? And it's actually funny because what I didn't know is that the word tinyBuild in British slang can mean like a person that is skinny. Right? So Tom knew that that was, like the definition of tinyBuild, so he was like, okay, let's go with tinyBuild. While in my mind, I was actually referencing, there's this build-up style in Warcraft 3 called tinyBuild. So we're kind of like, under the assumption that, hey, you know that this was a Warcraft 3 thing. He's like, no, you know that this just basically means that, like a tinyBuild, like person with a small build. For about 5 years, we had that assumption, and then we're like, oh, okay, this is awkward. Yeah, that's where the word tinyBuild came from. We just basically came up with it on the spot, and we just kind of rolled with it.
From coffin installations at PAX to your success with the Hello Neighbor series, where is tinyBuild going next, and how do you think game development will evolve and the experiences in games will evolve in the next generation?
Ooh. That's a really, really interesting question. I could talk about that for probably hours. I think what we did with Hello Neighbor is we had this hypothesis that eventually the games industry, especially the indie scene, is going to consolidate into essentially franchises where teams unite with each other, and if one of them has like a runaway success, a runaway IP or franchise, then multiple studios will be working on multiple projects at once at the same time. And this is exactly what happened with Hello Neighbor, because right now we have at least 3 studios working on games for the Hello Neighbor franchise, and an auxiliary animation studio that is helping do all of our amazing promotions.
We have a great lineup of tinyBuild games on the Mix Next. Tell us about each of the titles, why you chose to publish them, and when they are getting released.
All of these games, there is a lot of exciting stuff. So Hello Neighbor 2 is a sequel to our original 2017 runaway hit called Hello Neighbor. And what we want to do with the sequel is completely reinvent the AI. And that's what we've been working on. Well, the team has been working on this for close to 2 years now, where the AI would have different behaviors for when you're busting into his house, and he would chase you around an open world. It's terrifying, and I'm really excited to have everyone play it. Now, Black Skylands is actually a very interesting case because I have seen the prototype like really, really early on, way back actually close to 2 years ago now, of a solo game developer. And we have decided to partner up with a solo game developer and help him scale a team to up to 15 people, I think it is right now, it might be 16 already, to develop this open world epic adventure of Black Skylands, where you are in an open world of floating islands. You have your base hub, right? You have your ship, you have a goal that gets set up in the very beginning of the game, and you make your way to that goal. The gameplay is spiced up between exploration, shooting with really great combat, and you use like your grappling hook to when you get knocked off of these flying platforms. So it's flying ships, open world, gorgeous 2.5D pixel art, an amazing story, and really, really tight controls and gameplay on the combat. Now, Mayhem and Single Valley. This has been in development for quite a long time. So the game's premise could be described the best way is it's Stranger Things meets Zelda. So The premise is that you're about to take off to college, your family is not in its best place, so you feel kind of bad about leaving, and yet you're excited and terrified about hopping on the plane and going off to college. And at the same time, there is a really bizarre chemical spill that happens in the city, and there are radioactive squirrels now. So I guess you're staying and you're figuring out what the hell is going on. Ramen is an 8-player competitive shooter with soup. I'll just let that sink in a little bit. There are a couple of gameplay elements. One most notable visual one is that you actually use soup to kind of slide around like in Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And then you have a whole bunch of different game modes where you compete for being the the Sultan of Soup or the Broth King. What exactly the final game is going to shape up? Well, actually, Mix Next is going to help us a lot in figuring that out, because right now we have many different ideas that are like converging together. My most notable favorite one is a duck turret. So there is an untitled duck turret, which, good. So that turret is something that you set up for area control. Then you have a whole new mechanic that no one has seen before with Fortnite-style walls, where you just you put up biscuit walls that you used for area control as well. And then a whole new series of weapons like the Bratling gun, and different game modes where you there's a meatball mode where you control a giant meatball and try to score it into the goal. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely not Rocket League whatsoever. And Undungeon is actually a game that I'm really excited about because it has been in development for a few years now with a lot of reworking, and I think the challenge with Undungeon has always been that we had the visuals done really, really early on. Like, the game looks amazing, yet the gameplay was something of a really long iterative process. So with the Mix Next demo, we're hoping that people that are following the project are going to see the progress that we have made in between the builds that we're releasing, because like I said earlier, we are really, really into releasing builds early and getting a lot of feedback until we get it just right.
Thank you so much, Alex, for hopping on and chatting about the history and the future of tinyBuild, showcasing great games with us. We appreciate the support for this stream and the other events that we've partnered on. Ooh, we can't wait to see what's going to happen next for the Orange Crush, the Orange Squadron, tinyBuild.
Thanks everyone for joining us at the Mix Next. I'm really excited to be here, and have a great show.